Ladies and gentlemen, within you now, at this very moment, there is a power so vast, so limitless, that if you were to grasp even a fragment of its reality, your life would never be the same again. This power is the consciousness of God, the living spirit within you, the source of every heartbeat, every idea, every breath of life itself. You are not a weak, wandering creature struggling through existence. You are a living expression of infinite mind. The same intelligence that created the galaxies, that set the stars in their courses, that causes the sun to rise and the tides to flow, that very intelligence is within you, waiting for your recognition. The secret of life, the secret of success, the secret of peace, it is not outside you, it is within you, now. The moment you begin to think, feel, and act from this divine center, you align yourself with the source of all creation. You become a conscious channel of infinite power. Tonight, I will show you how to awaken to this glorious truth, how to live not as a seeker of God, but from the consciousness of God, the source within you that knows no fear, no lack, and no limitation. The infinite presence within you is the real you. Beneath the surface personality, beyond the shifting moods, fears, and desires, there exists a silent, radiant center, the very life of God expressing as you. You are not merely flesh and bone, not a bundle of memories or the product of heredity and environment. You are spirit individualized, the divine presence clothed in human form. The same intelligence that governs the universe beats your heart, breathes through your lungs, and sustains every cell in your body. When you become conscious of this truth, you begin to see that you are far greater than the person you have believed yourself to be. Most people identify themselves with their outer experiences, their names, their occupations, their social positions, their possessions. They say, "I am a teacher. I am a businessman. I am poor," or "I am sick." But these are only temporary conditions, passing expressions of thought and belief. They are not the true self. The real I in you is eternal and changeless. It cannot be sick, it cannot be poor, it cannot die. It is pure, being untouched by circumstance, unconfined by time or space. This infinite presence, this inner reality, is your divine identity. The moment you begin to accept this as truth, your consciousness begins to expand, and your world starts to reflect that inner awareness. Your thoughts are creative instruments of this divine presence. Whatever you habitually think and feel, you impress upon the deeper layers of your mind, and the infinite within you expresses it as experience. When you think from limitation, you live in limitation. When you think from the infinite, you open yourself to boundless possibility. The infinite presence in you never withholds. It only mirrors your state of consciousness. If you declare, "I can't," the power within you says, "Your wish is my command." If you declare, "I can do all things through the presence of God within me," that same power moves heaven and earth to make it so. The presence does not judge, it responds. To live from this awareness is to move through life with quiet strength and serenity. You no longer beg or struggle, you trust the process of life because you know it flows from the infinite mind within you. You understand that divine order governs your affairs. When challenges appear, you do not panic or despair, for you know that the solution is already present in the deeper levels of your consciousness. You turn inward, affirming that the infinite wisdom within you now reveals the right answer, and soon that guidance rises to the surface as intuition, insight, or opportunity. The outer world bends to the inner realization. This awareness transforms your relationships as well. You no longer see others as separate, competing beings, but as different expressions of the same infinite presence. Love flows naturally, for you recognize yourself in everyone you meet. Forgiveness becomes effortless because you understand that resentment is only a denial of your own divine nature. You cease to react to appearances and begin to respond from the calm, centered knowing that God is all, and all is well. Every encounter becomes sacred, every experience a reflection of your inner state. The infinite presence within you is also the source of healing. Disease, whether of body or mind, arises when we forget our oneness with the life principle. We identify with fear, tension, and separation. The moment you return to the awareness of the divine within, harmony begins to restore itself. You affirm, quietly but firmly, "The life of God flows through me now, renewing, cleansing, and strengthening every atom of my being." You feel that presence moving within you, and the outer condition must conform to the inner image of health and wholeness. Healing is not the creation of something new. It is the unveiling of what has always been perfect beneath the surface of belief. When you live from the consciousness of the infinite, fear dissolves. You realize that the same power that governs the stars governs your destiny. There is no uncertainty in divine mind. Everything unfolds with perfect timing. You begin to walk through life with the calm assurance that you are guided, protected, and sustained by the presence within. The noise of the world loses its grip, for your peace no longer depends on outer conditions. You have found the eternal anchor of your being, the infinite self that never falters, never sleeps, never dies. This realization is not reserved for saints or mystics. It is the birthright of every human being. It does not come through struggle or strain, but through recognition. Right now, you can close your eyes and affirm, "I am one with the infinite presence within me. I am life expressing as life, love expressing as love, wisdom expressing as wisdom." Feel these words sink into the depths of your mind. The more you dwell upon this truth, the more it becomes your living experience. You begin to radiate confidence, calm, and creative power. People feel it in your presence, opportunities align with you, and life begins to flow with effortless grace. The infinite presence within you is the real you. It was never born and will never die. It is the timeless essence of your being, the same yesterday, today, and forever. To know this is to step into freedom, freedom from fear, from lack, from limitation. It is to awaken from the dream of separation and stand in the light of your own divinity. Live from that center, and you will discover that the kingdom of heaven is not a distant realm to be reached someday, but the radiant reality of your own consciousness, here and now. Awareness of God transforms every condition. It is not the outer world that holds power over you, but the inner world of your thoughts and beliefs. Everything you experience is but a reflection of your consciousness. When the light of divine awareness enters your mind, the shadows of fear, sickness, and limitation dissolve of their own accord. You do not have to fight against circumstances. You lift your awareness to the presence of God within you, and conditions change in response. The moment you recognize that God is the only power, the only intelligence, and the only reality, every appearance of discord begins to fade away. What you hold in consciousness, you project into the world. If you see yourself as weak, life will mirror weakness back to you. If you see yourself as guided by divine wisdom and supported by infinite love, your path becomes straight, your burdens light, and your results harmonious. The universe is a mirror, and it reflects not what you wish for, but what you to be true in your heart. Awareness of God means knowing that behind every form, every event, and every person, there is one life, one presence expressing itself in infinite ways. To become conscious of that truth is to awaken from the dream of separation. When you walk through life in awareness of God, fear loses its grip on your mind. You understand that the same infinite intelligence that governs the planets also governs the details of your life. You cease to worry about how things will unfold because you know that divine order is at work. Problems that once seemed insurmountable begin to resolve themselves through channels you could never have imagined. You begin to sense a rhythm, a harmony, a hidden perfection behind all appearances. What once seemed like delay or denial now reveals itself as preparation. What seemed like loss becomes liberation. The transformation that comes from awareness of God is not forced. It happens naturally, as darkness vanishes before the dawn. The sun does not battle with the night, it simply rises, and the darkness disappears. So it is with you. When the light of divine awareness fills your consciousness, the shadows of lack, doubt, and fear vanish without struggle. You no longer try to manipulate outer events. Instead, you maintain inner alignment with the presence that knows only completeness. The more you dwell upon the reality of God within you, the more harmony unfolds in every department of your life. Your body responds to this awareness as well. Every cell listens to the mind that governs it. When you affirm peace, health, and divine order, the life principle within your body renews and restores every function. Healing does not come from outside. It springs from the realization that the same power that made your body continues to sustain and heal it. When you dwell in the awareness of the infinite, your very atoms vibrate with vitality. Your heart, your nerves, your organs all respond to the calm assurance that God's life is flowing through you now. You are not trying to get well. You are simply awakening to the truth that divine life is your life. Relationships, too, are transformed by this awareness. You stop looking to others to fulfill you because you realize that love itself is already within you. You begin to see people not as sources of your joy or sorrow, but as expressions of the one life that animates all beings. Judgments fade, compassion grows, and forgiveness becomes effortless. You understand that what you give in consciousness, you receive multiplied. When you hold others in the light of divine love, you call forth their highest and best. The awareness of God dissolves the illusion of separation and replaces it with unity, peace, and goodwill. Material conditions also yield to this inner transformation. When you know that God is your source, you stop depending on the outer world for supply. You realize that abundance is not something you attract, it is something you radiate. The law of consciousness states that whatever you feel deeply and consistently, you attract into form. When your mind is filled with the awareness of divine sufficiency, opportunities unfold, doors open, and resources appear in perfect timing. You begin to see that money, success, and opportunity are expressions of the infinite mind, working through channels of its own choosing. You live in gratitude, knowing that supply flows from the invisible to the visible through the avenue of your faith. The transformation that comes from awareness of God is total. It touches the mind, the body, the relationships, and the outer world. But its essence is inward. The change begins in thought, in feeling, in consciousness. The outer world follows naturally, for it is only the projection of the inner. The more you dwell on divine truth, the less you are affected by appearances. You rise above the swing of circumstances and begin to live in the peace that passes understanding. This awareness is not achieved through strain, but through stillness. It is realized in moments of quiet communion, when you turn your mind inward and say, God is here. The presence fills me, guides me, and expresses through me. You repeat this truth until it becomes alive within you, until you feel it. Then something within you shifts, and the outer world begins to mirror that shift. The confusion clears, the way opens, and life unfolds in harmony with your new state of consciousness. Awareness of God is the master key to all transformation. It turns fear into faith, conflict into peace, lack into abundance, sickness into health, and doubt into certainty. The presence of God does not need to come to you. It is already here, waiting for your recognition. As you awaken to it, you find that nothing is impossible, for you and the infinite are one. This realization is freedom, fulfillment, and peace. When you live in constant awareness of God, every moment becomes holy, every place sacred, and every condition an opportunity for the divine to reveal its glory through you. You think from the source, not toward it. This is one of the greatest secrets of spiritual living. The source, the infinite mind, the presence of God is not something distant that you must reach or seek. It is the very essence of your being, the center of your consciousness. To think from the source means to think as one who already possesses the wisdom, power, and love of God within. It is to know that you are not trying to attain something outside of yourself, but to express what is already complete within you. The moment you begin to think from this awareness, your entire life begins to transform, because you are no longer a beggar of life, but a creator with life. When you think toward the source, you are always in a state of wanting, striving, and seeking. You say to yourself, "One day I will have peace," or "If I pray enough, God will bless me." These thoughts, though sincere, arise from a sense of separation. They affirm that what you desire is not yet yours, and as long as you hold that belief, your experience will continue to mirror lack and delay. The universe always says yes to the feeling you radiate. If you feel wanting, life reflects wanting, but when you think from the source, you think from completion. You know that peace, health, abundance, and love are not future possibilities, but present realities in the infinite mind within you. You align yourself with what already is, and the invisible becomes visible in perfect order. The source does not know struggle or limitation. It is pure intelligence, ceaselessly creating, infinitely abundant. To think from, it is to let that divine pattern express through you. When you think from the source, your words carry authority, your actions flow with ease, and your mind remains poised and confident, even amid outer change. You no longer pray from desperation, asking for something to happen. You affirm from realization, declaring that what you desire is already accomplished in the infinite. You do not plead, you proclaim. You do not hope, you know. This shift from toward to from is the difference between living as a seeker and living as a creator. Imagine a tree drawing life from the soil. The roots do not struggle to reach nourishment. They are already immersed in it. The life of the soil becomes the life of the tree. So it is with you. The presence of God is the soil of your being. You draw from it effortlessly when you recognize your oneness with it. Every time you affirm divine truth, "I am guided by infinite intelligence. I am filled with divine strength. I live in the abundance of God," you are thinking from the source. You are allowing the infinite to express through the channel of your consciousness. This way of thinking dissolves fear instantly. Fear can only exist when you believe you are separate from the power that sustains you. When you think from the source, fear is replaced by faith, because you realize that the power that governs galaxies is also working perfectly in your life. You begin to walk with quiet confidence, knowing that every step is guided by divine intelligence. You do not need to control outcomes. You rest in the awareness that the source within you is unfolding everything for your highest good. Even apparent obstacles are transformed, because you see them not as threats, but as opportunities for the infinite to reveal greater strength through you. Thinking from the source also transforms your creativity. New ideas, inspiration, and intuition flow effortlessly when you stop trying to force them and instead open yourself to divine guidance. The source is infinite intelligence, and when you think from that intelligence, you become a channel for original thought. You may find solutions to problems that once seemed impossible. You may suddenly feel drawn to actions that open unexpected doors. The universe responds to your inner conviction, arranging people, timing, and circumstances in perfect harmony with your thought. In practical affairs, this principle is life-changing. When you think toward success, you are trying to get something. When you think from success, you are expressing the consciousness of success that already exists in the infinite. You dress the part in your mind, act the part in your behavior, and expect the corresponding results. You become magnetic to conditions that match your inner state. The same is true for healing, love, or any goal. The outer world is always a mirror of your inner position. The one who thinks toward healing keeps affirming illness. The one who thinks from health radiates vitality and attracts harmony. You do not need to force this awareness, only to practice it. Begin each day by turning inward and affirming, "I think from the source within me. I am one with infinite mind, and everything I need flows to me now." Feel the truth of those words. See yourself acting from strength, speaking from wisdom, living from love. As you do this consistently, your subconscious mind accepts it as fact, and your external world begins to conform. This is not imagination or wishful thinking. It is the law of consciousness. What you feel as true in the inner world inevitably manifests in the outer. The source within you is perfection itself. It contains the pattern of your highest good, your greatest expression, your most radiant joy. When you think from it, you harmonize your mind with that pattern. Life begins to flow with grace and precision. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. The people, resources, and ideas you need appear effortlessly. You no longer live by chance or circumstance, but by divine design. To think from the source is to live as the source lives freely, fearlessly, abundantly. It is to awaken from the illusion of separation and to remember who you truly are, an individualized expression of infinite mind, endowed with the power to shape your world through thought and faith. The shift is simple yet profound. Stop reaching for the light and realize you are already in it. Stop striving to connect with God and know that God is already expressing as you. When you think from the source, every thought becomes creative, every word becomes a blessing, and every moment becomes a revelation of divine perfection. Inner alignment creates outer harmony. Everything you experience in your outer world is the exact reflection of what you hold within. The events, people, and circumstances of your life are mirrors that reveal your state of consciousness. When you are in harmony with yourself, when your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are aligned with the truth of God within you, the outer world naturally reflects that harmony. Peace flows through your environment, prosperity follows your actions, and love surrounds you. But when your inner world is divided by fear, doubt, and confusion, life appears chaotic, not because the world itself is against you, but because you are out of tune with your own divine nature. You cannot experience lasting peace while thinking in discord. You cannot draw success while harboring feelings of failure. Life obeys the vibration of your inner state. This is why all true change begins within. Outer action alone, unaccompanied by inner alignment, produces temporary results. But when your consciousness is aligned with divine law, every thought, word, and action becomes infused with creative power. You no longer struggle to make things happen, they unfold naturally, because your inner pattern matches the order of the universe. The infinite works through you when you are in harmony with it. Inner alignment means thinking, feeling, and acting from the awareness that the presence of God lives within you. It means allowing your thoughts to mirror divine truth rather than appearances. When you affirm peace, love, and abundance, and feel them as real, you align your mind with the universal law of harmony. The outer world, which is but a shadow of inner consciousness, must then adjust itself to reflect that new state. If your mind is a field, then your thoughts are the seeds. Whatever you plant there grows in your experience. Align your thoughts with the divine, and your garden will flourish with beauty, order, and prosperity. Many people try to change their circumstances without changing their inner state. They move from one job to another, from one relationship to another, from one place to another, thinking outer change will bring peace. Yet the same patterns follow them, because they carry the same consciousness wherever they go. The key is not in running from conditions, but in transforming the consciousness that created them. When you change within, everything outside must change accordingly, for the outer is only the effect, and the inner is the cause. When your mind is filled with faith, your body responds with vitality. When your heart is filled with gratitude, opportunities open before you. When your soul is calm, your relationships become peaceful. Harmony within produces harmony without. This is a universal law. You are not at the mercy of the world around you. You are the center from which your world unfolds. Every time you bring your thoughts back to love instead of resentment, to confidence instead of fear, to forgiveness instead of anger, you are realigning with divine order. This inner shift radiates outward and changes everything it touches. To achieve this alignment, you must practice stillness. Quiet the mind each day and feel the presence of God within you. Affirm silently, "Divine peace governs my mind. Divine love fills my heart. Divine wisdom directs my path." As you dwell on these truths, your inner energy begins to stabilize. Old patterns of anxiety and resistance dissolve, and you become a clear channel for the infinite to work through you. You find that your actions become inspired rather than forced. Ideas come naturally, timing feels perfect, and your days flow with ease. Inner alignment also means integrity, the harmony between thought, feeling, and action. When what you think, say, and do are consistent with your highest truth, you generate tremendous power. You are no longer divided within yourself. The world senses this unity, and your influence increases. People trust those who are aligned, for they radiate authenticity and strength. The universe itself supports such individuals because they are cooperating with divine law rather than resisting it. If your life feels out of balance, do not look first to the outer world for correction. Instead, ask yourself, where am I resisting the flow of the infinite within me? Where am I thinking against the good I desire? You may discover that the conflict you see outside is merely the reflection of an inner conflict. Release the resistance, replace self-criticism with self-acceptance, fear with faith, and doubt with assurance in the power that guides all things. As you do, the outer conflict begins to resolve, sometimes in ways that seem miraculous. When you are inwardly aligned, even adversity cannot disturb you. Storms may come, but you remain centered, knowing that divine order governs all. You see problems not as punishments, but as opportunities for greater expression of wisdom and strength. You bless the situation, affirming that the presence within you knows exactly what to do, and the right outcome unfolds. You discover that peace is not something given by the world, but something you bring to the world. This is the secret of mastery, to live from inner alignment with the presence of God, no matter what appearances say. When you hold yourself in this state, outer harmony must follow, because the universe cannot contradict divine order. The same intelligence that holds the planets in their orbits holds your life in balance. Trust it, live from it. Let your thoughts be peaceful, your words kind, your actions inspired. As you align yourself inwardly with truth, beauty, and love, your world becomes a perfect reflection of that inner state. You begin to live not in reaction to life, but in creation with life, and that is true harmony, the natural rhythm of the soul in tune with the infinite. Faith is the bridge between the seen and the unseen. It is the invisible link that connects the world of form with the world of spirit. the channel through which the infinite possibilities of the divine flow into expression. Everything you can see, touch, or experience first existed in the realm of the unseen, in thought, in imagination, in belief. Faith is the power that draws these unseen realities into visible manifestation. It is not mere hope or wishful thinking. It is a deep inner knowing that what you seek is already accomplished in the mind of God. Faith bridges the gap between what appears to be and what truly is. Every great achievement, every act of healing, every demonstration of abundance has been made possible by faith. When you believe in the reality of the unseen good, you set in motion the creative forces of the universe. The law of life responds to your belief as surely as soil responds to seed. If you plant a seed of faith, you can be certain that, in due time, it will bear fruit. Faith is the spiritual assurance that the invisible pattern of perfection is always present, and that by aligning your consciousness with it, you bring it into form. Most people live bound by appearances. They judge reality by what their senses report and call that truth. But appearances are temporary. They are shadows of thought. To live by faith is to rise above the tyranny of appearances and trust the higher law that governs all creation. When conditions look bleak, faith whispers, "This too shall pass." When everything seems lost, faith reminds you that divine order is at work behind the scenes. When you hold fast to that truth, you invite the unseen power of God to move through you, and what once looked impossible begins to take shape before your eyes. Faith does not deny reality, it transcends it. It does not close its eyes to facts, but it knows that facts are not final. The doctor may describe a condition, the bank account may show lack, the situation may appear hopeless, yet faith knows that these are but temporary pictures, reflections of past thought. The eternal reality, the truth of God's abundance, health, and love, remains untouched. Faith fixes its attention on that truth and holds to it until the outer world aligns with the inner conviction. This steadfastness of mind is what turns dreams into achievements and prayers into results. When you cultivate faith, you enter into partnership with the infinite. You cease to rely solely on human effort and begin to trust the unseen intelligence that governs all things. You realize that the same power that guides the planets in their courses guides your life with equal precision. Faith makes you receptive to divine ideas. It opens the door of your mind to inspiration, intuition, and guidance that logic alone could never provide. You find yourself moved to act at just the right moment, meeting the right people, encountering the right opportunities. What the world calls coincidence, faith recognizes as divine timing. Faith also brings peace when you truly know that the presence of God is working through you and for you. Anxiety disappears. You no longer try to control every detail. You rest in the assurance that all is unfolding perfectly. The mind that trusts in God is calm because it knows that infinite wisdom cannot fail. Faith removes the burden of fear and replaces it with quiet confidence. You no longer ask, "Will this work?" but declare, "It is already done in the mind of God." This inner conviction becomes the mold through which the unseen substance of spirit takes form in your life. There is creative power in believing. Your faith acts as a magnet, drawing to you the conditions that correspond with your dominant belief. If you have faith in failure, you attract failure. If you have faith in divine abundance, you attract abundance. The law is impartial. It manifests what you believe, not what you merely wish for. That is why it is essential to discipline your thought, to align your belief with truth. You must see yourself already possessing the good you desire. Feel it, affirm it, and act as though it were already yours. This is the language of faith living from the end rather than toward it. Even a small degree of faith is powerful. Jesus said, "If you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, 'Move,' and it shall move. The mountain represents any obstacle in consciousness, fear, doubt, limitation. Faith, no matter how small, begins to dissolve it, because faith connects you to the infinite, which knows no limitation. You do not need to have great faith in yourself. You need only have faith in the power that works through you. It is not personal strength that accomplishes the miracle, but the divine intelligence responding to your belief. As you exercise faith daily, it grows stronger. Just as muscles develop through use, so faith expands through practice. Each time you trust the unseen and witness the result, your confidence deepens. You begin to live from a higher plane, no longer bound by what the senses report, but guided by inner knowing. The unseen becomes more real to you than the visible, and the outer world reshapes itself according to that higher reality. Faith truly is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the human and the divine. It is the golden link that connects your consciousness to the limitless mind of God. When you walk by faith, you are walking in creative partnership with the infinite. You become an instrument through which divine power flows freely into form. Faith transforms obstacles into growth, opportunities, lack into plenty, fear into peace. To live by faith is to live in harmony with the eternal laws of life, to trust that what you desire already exists in the unseen and is even now moving toward expression through you. In that realization, you find freedom, strength, and unshakable peace. Living consciously with God is heaven on earth. It is the realization that the presence you have sought outside yourself has been within you all along, closer than your breath, nearer than your heartbeat. When you awaken to this truth, life changes completely. You no longer live as a being, struggling through a hostile world, hoping for grace to descend from above. Instead, you begin to live as one who walks hand in hand with the infinite, moment by moment. Heaven is not a distant realm or a future promise. It is a state of awareness, the conscious recognition of your oneness with God here and now. To live consciously with God is to let the divine mind think through you, the divine love feel through you, and the divine power act through you. It means realizing that you are never alone, never unsupported, never separated from the source of all wisdom and life. Every thought you think, every step you take, can become an act of communion when you do it with the awareness of the presence within. Washing dishes, walking in nature, working at your desk, each becomes sacred when done with consciousness of God. The external action remains the same, but the inner vibration changes. What was once ordinary becomes luminous, alive, meaningful. The world around you begins to mirror this inner state. When your consciousness is filled with divine awareness, you perceive beauty everywhere, not because the world has changed, but because you are seeing it through the eyes of spirit. The flowers, the sky, the people you meet all radiate the same life that flows through you. You begin to see God in everything and everything in God. This perception is heaven because heaven is the awareness of unity. It is the end of separation, fear, and striving. You live from the knowing that all is well because all is God. When you live consciously with God, peace becomes your natural state. You are no longer tossed about by the changing winds of circumstance. You may face challenges, but you meet them from a higher plane of understanding. You know that behind every appearance of discord is the perfect order of the divine. Instead of reacting with anxiety or resistance, you respond with calm assurance. You turn inward and silently affirm, God is here. God is guiding me now. Instantly, your mind becomes still, your heart opens, and a solution begins to reveal itself. This is how heaven expresses itself on earth, not through escape from problems, but through the awareness that divine wisdom is always at work within the problem itself. Living consciously with God transforms your relationships as well. You see others not as separate individuals, but as different expressions of the same life that animates you. Love flows naturally when you perceive divinity in everyone. Criticism, judgment, and resentment lose their hold, because you understand that to harm another in thought or word is to deny the presence within yourself. You begin to bless others silently, seeing them surrounded by divine light. In return, you attract harmony, kindness, and understanding, for what you give in consciousness always returns multiplied. This is the spiritual law of reciprocity, the divine rhythm of love in action. The awareness of God also brings joy, a joy that is independent of outer events. It is the quiet happiness of knowing you are part of something eternal, infinite, and perfect. You no longer depend on possessions, achievements, or approval for your sense of fulfillment. You are fulfilled by the very act of being. Each moment becomes a revelation of divine life expressing itself through you. Gratitude wells up naturally, not for something gained, but for the sheer privilege of living in awareness of God's presence. This gratitude itself multiplies good, for it keeps your consciousness open and receptive to the flow of abundance. To live consciously with God does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging with the world from a higher vibration. You carry the peace of God into every activity, every environment, every conversation. You become a living channel of light. Where there is confusion, you bring clarity. Where there is fear, you radiate calm. Where there is darkness, you shine understanding. People are drawn to your presence not because of what you do, but because of what you are, a living testament to the truth that heaven is not a place, but a state of consciousness. This divine awareness also dissolves the illusion of lack. When you know that God is your source, you stop worrying about supply. You realize that the universe is rich beyond measure and that the same intelligence that sustains galaxies is also sustaining you. You begin to expect good, not as a privilege, but as a natural law. Every need is met, every step guided, every desire purified and fulfilled in divine order. This is abundance in its truest sense, the effortless flow of life from the unseen to the seen. To live consciously with God is to live in the eternal now. The past loses its power to wound you, and the future ceases to trouble you, because you are anchored in the presence that transcends time. You understand that everything you could ever seek, peace, love, joy, fulfillment, already exists within this moment. You no longer chase life, you express it. You no longer ask for heaven, you live it. Heaven on earth is not a dream to be attained, but a reality to be recognized. When you wake each morning and affirm, God is my life, my wisdom, my strength, my peace, you align your consciousness with heaven. When you walk through the day, aware of divine guidance, heaven walks with you. When you close your eyes at night in gratitude for the presence that lived through you, you rest in heaven's embrace. This is the true meaning of living consciously with God, to let the infinite live, love, and act through you so completely that your life becomes a mirror of divine perfection. In this awareness, you discover that heaven was never far away. It has always been within you, waiting to be realized. My friends, the kingdom of God is not a distant promise, it is a living reality within you now. The infinite presence that breathed the stars into being is the same presence breathing through you this very moment. When you awaken to that truth, life ceases to be a struggle and becomes a sacred expression of divine order. You are not a seeker trying to reach the source. You are the expression of that source, already complete, already whole. The infinite presence within you is your real identity. When you live from that awareness, every limitation begins to dissolve. Awareness of God transforms every condition, because it lifts you from the level of appearance to the level of truth. You were never meant to think toward God. as though the divine were separate from you. You were created to think from God, from wisdom, love, and power itself. When your inner world is aligned with that truth, your outer world reflects it in perfect harmony. Faith then becomes your bridge between the seen and the unseen, joining your human thought with divine reality. Through faith, you draw into form that which has already been accomplished in the infinite mind. And when you finally choose to live consciously with God, not just to believe in God, but to let God live, love, and think through you, then heaven reveals itself right where you are. You begin to see beauty everywhere, peace in every challenge, abundance in every moment. Life becomes radiant, effortless, and free. So go forth with this realization burning in your heart. You are a vessel of the infinite, a channel of divine intelligence, a living expression of God's boundless love. Live from that center, think from that source, walk in the light of that presence. And wherever you go, heaven will go with you, for heaven is not a place you enter after death, but a state of consciousness you awaken to in life. Live from the source within, and you will discover that you are and always have been one with the consciousness of God.